Hi everyone, welcome to episode 68 of the arieknits podcast. My name is Ariel and this is a video podcast where I talk about all the things that I have been knitting and spinning on for the past week. And this week, I guess really a lot of work has been done on the last weekends, but after I filmed the video for last week, got a lot of progress done on some things. I got a lot of spinning done. And I have a couple fiber acquisitions. Did I say I have some finished objects? I have new cast-ons. And just kind of like the whole thing. Progress on a whole bunch of sides of the crafting that I do. So I'm very excited to talk about it and share it with you all today. I'm going to start off today with what I am wearing. It is not a finished object. It is something I haven't worn on the podcast before or shown because I did not make it. I am wearing the Rococo Pullover by Sari Nordlund, and this was actually knit by my friend Sylvan. It was not knit for me, but she made it previously some time ago, and I think she was going through her knitwear and was deciding things that she wanted to keep and give away and wanted to give this away, and since we're similar sizes, I was able to take this off her hands. So yeah, it's pretty awesome. And I wanted to give it some love here on the podcast because it's a very beautiful sweater. And yeah, I don't have all the details on it except for, it is the Rococo Pullover by Sari Nordlund, and I'm pretty sure the yarn is Lobby and Aimee Corrie worsted. And if you haven't seen this pattern before, it is a gorgeous like lace work yoke at the top, and it has that pattern on the cuffs here as well on the sleeves, and it's very Sari Nordlund design looking, and it is very pretty. And yeah, so I just wanted to wear it on the podcast and show it to you all. I did take measurements on this just because I like to talk about like how it fits, and so you can see kind of what that looks like. Final measurements are around 30 inches in circumference, so that gives me 0 inches of positive ease, so this is a more fitted sweater on me, but it feels quite nice, and I think for something that is very like lacy, it's kind of nice for it to be a little more fitted and not so maybe like oversized or something. So yeah, it fits me really well, and I think it's very pretty, and I'm really happy that it is in my wardrobe. So yeah, that is what I am wearing today. And okay, I do have some finished objects this week, but I will also talk about them in next week's video because they are not washed or blocked, but they're done. I was supposed to wash and block them last night so that hopefully they would be dry for today's video, but I forgot. But I will share it with you all anyway. I finished the Cumulus blouse by PetiteKnit. Woo! And yarn I used for this, Woolberry Fiber Co. Berry Suri, which is the newer Suri base, the one that has over 400 yards for 50 grams in the skein. In the colorway October, I held Suri double. I knit size extra small, and I used US 7 needles to knit this, and it is done, and it's looking really cozy and fluffy, and I really like how it came out. I think last time I was talking about it, I was saying that, so I used, I still haven't weighed my yarn yet, but I had 4 skeins to use for this, but I knew I wasn't going to use all of it, so, but anyway, the first 2 skeins got me this is work top down. The first 2 skeins got me all the way from the top to pretty much the hem. I think I ran out of my first 2 skeins of yarn in the middle of doing the I-cord bind off for the body. And so the sleeves, both of the sleeves and the neck I-cord were done with the 2 other skeins. I did not helical knit or alternate skeins for this because I don't want to do that with Suri. I've never done that with Suri. I don't know. And I felt like the sleeves, when there was like, I felt like there was like a line here, color-wise, that you could tell. But honestly, I mean, if you know to look for it, like right here, you can kind of tell there's this line right here between, you can tell I use different skeins. The sleeve overall just has a bit more of like the lighter gray areas. But I feel like overall, when you look at the whole thing, it's not super noticeable. Although maybe you notice it now because I said something, but I'm very happy with how this came out. This is the third time that I have ever made the Cumulus blouse, and so I kind of knew what to expect making this. Sizing, I know it works for me well, and yeah, the only thing is that this is the first time I have knit it with this particular Suri base, and so once I wash and block it, I'm going to wear it, I'm going to see how it feels compared to the old Suri base, or the one that I feel like maybe more hand-dyed yarn dyers use, which is, I think it might be like 300 something yards for 50 grams, so it's a bit, this one is a bit lighter than the other Suri. So I want to see how it feels different in a garment, like when you wear it. So yeah, next week, that'll be what I probably talk about, and I will wear this next week, in next week's video. I really love how this color turned out. I feel like it does look more brown than I was expecting, but I don't know if the camera can really capture this, but you can see some of the pink and green in there as well, especially on the lighter parts of the yarn, which is like on the sleeve area, and it's so pretty. I really like the variegation in this. I did not get too much color pooling, except always the danger spots for me are color pooling in the body, especially if it's worked flat or like no increasing or decreasing. So you can kind of see that right in the middle there, this section right here, but then I fixed it for the rest of the body. So it kind of looks like there's a stripe, but honestly, like okay, I'm gonna be totally honest, kind of bothers me. Like I wish it didn't happen, but it's not going to stop me from wearing this. And that's always kind of the goal, or like, it's not gonna stop me from wearing it. That's kind of just all I'm really asking for, I guess, from a sweater. So again, this is not, oh, I think some fluff went into my eye. So this is not washed or blocked yet, and so you can still kind of see, you know, things aren't laying totally flat yet, especially with the I-cord neckline, but everything's looking really good, and it'll be washed and blocked for next week's video where we'll talk about final measurements and all of that. But yeah, so this is done. That was kind of a big goal for me this week, was to get this sweater done because I knew that I could get it done. The gauge is pretty big for this, and so I just wanted kind of like a quick win, or, you know, it is a sweater project, so it's not some smaller project, but I knew I could work on this and get it done pretty quickly, and so I just wanted to get that off my needles, also because I wanted to cast on new things. So yeah, that is kind of was my thinking around working on this week. Did I say I knit size extra small, use US 7 needles, which I think is the recommended needle size, and yeah, just happy to have this sweater done. This also counts towards one of my yearly goals in knitting with all of the yarn from Woolberry's Rewind from last year. And so this is project number 2, I think, using the yarn. And so I am kind of behind in using the Woolberry Rewind yarn this year, like for my goal, because this is project number 2 and it's already April, and so should have finished 3 projects. The pace is about 1 project a month, or 1 project a month, and that should get me done for the year. But I have a lot of sweater quantities, and I don't really expect myself to finish sweaters every month using the rewind yarn, and so I feel like I'll just catch up at some point later this year. But yeah, happy this is done. I do very much like it, and yeah, more details on it in next week's video. Okay, and then I have another finished object, which I think it's kind of funny because it is also a new cast on. So you haven't seen this before, and it's done. I just had this urge to cast this on because I knew I wanted to make this, and I just wanted to know how this yarn felt knitted up. Also, I did not wash or block this yet, so it still looks maybe a little wonky, but maybe this is good because then you can see what it looks like before I wash and block it, and then after. This is the Manhattan Hat by Tori Yu. If you've been watching some of my previous videos, you'll know that this is my absolute favorite beanie pattern. I have knit this, I think is my 4th Manhattan hat, like out of all of the different yarn weights of it. So Tori Yu has the regular Manhattan Hat, which is made for worsted weight yarn. She has Manhattan Hat Light, which is made for sport weight yarn, and then Manhattan Hat Bulky, which is for bulky weight yarn, and I have made one of each, and so now we're just repeating some. And so this is the regular Manhattan Hat pattern. I used Woolberry's Berry Rambouillet worsted yarn base for this. So it's a worsted weight yarn, and this is the first time I've knit with this yarn base, and so that was exciting. The colorway is, oh, I wrote it down in my notes wrong. The colorway is, oh my gosh, where'd it go? I need to check what yarn base this is. Oh, it is, the yarn color is called Bewitched, which is this really pretty variegated color, pink of course, and some kind of mauve colors in there, and I love it. I think it came out really nice, and I'm so happy about this. I can't wait to wear this and see how it feels. Like, a lot of times, like when I wear hats or like beanies, my forehead gets really itchy, and so I'm curious to see how this yarn base, because this is Rambouillet wool, not merino. So yeah, I'm just looking forward to seeing how this wears. I guess I can put it on so you can see it. I did the single fold brim for this, and thankfully, so I knit size adult medium, which is the size I've knit for the other one as well. Actually, I might have knit adult small for some of the other yarn weights of this, but yeah, this one, adult medium, I use US 5 needles, which I think is the recommended needle size, and I pretty much use up an entire skein of this. So I only needed one skein, and I pretty much use all of it to make this size hat, which I think is fantastic. So it's just for this size, like a one skein project. I guess if you knit any of the smaller sizes, you only need one skein also. But yeah, so one skein for the adult medium single folded brim. And I mean, right now it feels great. I think that I have to wait a while to see if it actually makes my forehead itchy, but right now it feels fine. Fit is great, doesn't feel like it's really kind of like tugging at my head, or like, it's not too small. It's also not drooping, it's not too big. I think I'm gonna really like this, and I might want to make more of these in this yarn base, potentially. This yarn base is soft, and I don't mean this in like a bad way. I actually really like this about this yarn base, and it could just be also the weight of the yarn, maybe because it's worsted weight, so it's a little thicker, that it kind of holds up more. it does not droop. It's not like super stiff, but it's not droopy. Like I can hold it sideways and it doesn't really droop, if that makes sense. And so it feels like a very sturdy hat and like a sturdy fabric, and that it'll hold its shape, which I think is really great for this pattern and for a beanie, I guess, depending on how you like your beanies. But it'll, keep its shape for this top shaping, which I think, that's the design detail that you want to kind of stand out. And so I really like that. This yarn is a 2-ply, and it is very interesting because I don't know how I feel about how it looks in the stitches. And so I'm going to hold this up closely, and so maybe the camera will focus at some point. But you can see the plies, I guess. And I feel like there is like one column of the V's that the stitches make, that one side is like really tight and the other side is a little more loose. And so, I mean, yeah, you can see the 2-plies. It kind of almost looks like I held yarn double. Like sometimes when you do hold yarn double, it kind of gives, like you can tell in the stitches that you held yarn double, but in this case, it's just the 2-ply. And maybe the 2-ply was more loosely twisted, and so that's why you can really kind of see it in the individual stitches. Yeah, let me know what you think about that. And like, it doesn't bother me. Again, it's not something that would make me not want to wear this hat. I'm pretty sure I'm going to wear and love this hat. But it's just something I observed and was like, that's interesting. Another thing too is that it kind of twists. Like the columns of the stitches they're not quite straight. They kind of are doing a little twist. Like if you were to follow, I don't know, I guess like this column of knit stitches right at the edge, it doesn't stay at the edge. Like it kind of starts moving inwards towards the hat like this way, and so it's kind of twisting this way, if that makes sense, like the entire fabric. And so I do think though, maybe after blocking, things will just kind of settle out and then it'll lay flat. But again, even if it's not straight, like, are you going to notice that when I wear it in the hat? Maybe not. But yeah, it's just an observation that I wanted to share with you all, just in case that makes you, I don't know, if you have an opinion on how that looks in like a final knitted thing. But for me, I love it. I can't wait to block it and wear it. I'm going to probably wear this the entire next week and for the rest of, until it gets too hot to wear beanies, because I love Manhattan hats and this is just my new favorite one. So yeah, I'm trying to think, is there anything else about this I want to share? I did do, if you've never made this hat before, for the top shaping of this hat, you have the option to either do knit decreases or purl decreases, and that'll just depend on if you're going to flip the hat inside out at the end or not. If you do the purl decreases, then you will be working like on the right side of the hat, and as how you normally would knit. But if you decide to do the knit decreases, which is what I did, you're basically working the hat inside out. So I just turned it inside out. You do the knit decreases, you do your bind off, and then the final product, you turn your hat inside out. If that makes sense. And for me, I really like that option because, one, I prefer doing knit decreases and purl decreases, so that works out. But also because I prefer, when I do 1x1 rib, I prefer how my 1x1 rib looks on the wrong side of my knitting. So this is the, I guess, how I was working it. This was the right side of the knitting, and I just don't like how my ribbing looks. It just all kind of just looks spread out. Like you can't really see the clear knit and purl columns, but on the wrong side, which is now the right side of my hat, it just, look, you can actually see the knit and purl columns a lot better, I feel like. I feel like the knit V columns are just a lot tighter together. And so it worked out perfectly for me to do those decreases and then turn the hat inside out. And I love the Tubular Caston for this hat. I feel like because I've made this hat now, you know, this is the 4th time I've made it. I've gotten so much better at the Tubular Caston, and I actually really like it. I think the first time I did it, the first time I made this hat was the bulky weight one. I love that hat. That is my most worn hat. I still wear it. I'm still wearing it like almost every day when I go outside. So love that hat. But my Tubular Caston for that could have been better. But after doing it a few more times, I think it's gotten quite nice. It looks very neat now. Still maybe, you know, it looks a little like it could be a little more cinched in maybe, but after blocking, after wearing it and being stretched out, I think it'll be fine. But look at that. I actually think it's so cute. And yeah, I can't believe, I was like, oh, I had no plans on finishing this hat this week, but once I got to a certain point with it, I was like, I should just finish it. Like why should I stop now? I'm just gonna be, if I'm feeling on a roll, I should just finish it. So yeah, this is the hat, Manhattan hat with the single fold. I do have one more skein in a different colorway of the Woolberry Rambouillet worsted yarn, and so I don't know, that might also become another Manhattan hat. We will see. Okay, enough about my finished objects, which I will also be talking about again next week because they will be washed and blocked and like actually finished. But let's move on to my works in progress this week. Okay, I have my Sweet Shop blanket ready to show you the new addition, the 4 new squares this week. Here they are. Sweet Shop blanket by Laura Penrose. I'm using PetiteKnit's 2023 seasons, boxes, sock sets, and I am now on the fall season, as you could maybe tell by the colors. Very orangey and like golden brown orange. Colorways for this is, and this is the full skein of the variegated. Colorways are called Autumn Leaves and Pumpkin Spice, which is very cute. I love it. And this is let me show you what I have for the fall seasons squares right now. We only have one more sock set for the fall season, so we have 3 finished kind of sets here. Got one more for my faces for next week, and that should be really exciting. And then we've only got the winter box after that to go through, and so this blanket is getting really close to being done. And it's still, I was really worried that I was going to get bored with knitting this, but the more I work on this, the more that I'm like, I want to make another blanket. I do think that Laura Penrose is, like right now, is in testing for another blanket like this, but I think it's like the Stella Quilt. I think it might be called the Stella Quilt blanket. So it's just like her pillow pattern, but in blanket form, and I already have ideas for what yarn I want to use for that version too. So maybe by the time I'm done with this blanket, it'll be time to cast on another blanket. Or actually, I also want to make the pillow, so maybe we'll start the pillow before, you know, having 2 blankets, working on 2 blankets, like one right after the other. But look at this, fall vibes right here. I love it. Let's do a quick, can I even show like all of the, I can't see, but I'm just gonna kind of move this around so that maybe you can see all of the blanket. It's going to be very cozy. I am actually just going to lay this over my lap right now. I'm wearing a sweater, but I'm also wearing shorts, and my legs are cold, so for the rest of the video, I'll just keep this blanket on my lap. It's very nice, so I'm just so excited about this blanket. Yeah. Okay, so that is the Sweet Shop blankets. And then next I have I have the Midnight Jasmine wrap by Alexi. 2 of Wands on Instagram. I made good progress on this. Let's hold it up. Which direction? Oh, right here. Or maybe I should hold it, actually. It is a triangle, so let me hold it maybe upside down. Or not upside down, this is probably the way. Longer side up. But it is worked down towards the top of the triangle with shorter number of flowers per row. So there we have it, a whole bunch of flowers. And let me just show you, I actually worked 1, 2, 3 rows this morning. I was gonna say this week, but it really, I mean, yes, this week, but in reality, I crocheted. This is a crochet project. I crocheted 3 rows this morning. And you'll see this is the last from last week. And then the 3 rows are the top 3 right here. So I think that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 plus 3, 4, 5, 6 plus 5. Whatever number that is. I crocheted these 3 top smaller, shorter rows up here, and I think I only have one more row. I only have one more row, which I think will be 4 flowers left. And so today, I'm telling myself today, I'm going to finish crocheting this. Exciting moments, because this has been a work in progress for like the past 2 years, and it's finally going to be done. And I am incentivizing myself to finish this, because once I finish this, I want to cast on another shawl, which I have been wanting to make for so long, the Verglas Unite shawl. And so I'm telling myself don't cast that on yet until I am done with this shawl. And so, 4 more flowers, that's super doable. So this is the last time you'll see it as a work in progress. I am hoping, unless, I don't know, something happens, you'll see this as a finished object in next week's video. Look how many flowers. I think, let me check. There are I don't think there's 200 flowers, but it's close. Oh, there's a total of 172 flowers on this. So that's a big amount, but it's almost done, and I'm very, very excited and happy about that. So good progress done on that. Oh, again, the yarn I am using for this is Lion Brand 2 of Wands Color Theory yarn in 6 different colors, and all the colorway names are down below. And I am using a 3.75 millimeter crochet hook to crochet this. I feel like now I must have said that I've knit that in previous videos, and I've only caught myself now saying knit, but it's crochet. It is a crochet project. My one crochet project right now. Okay, and on the topic of other shawl wrap type garments, here is an update on my Verglas wrap, aka my soup shawl. Oh, I have to hold it up some more. Yay! Okay, so you might not be able to tell, but I finished with this section, with this sock set, the second sock set out of 4. And so I am now halfway done with this entire wrap. I will hold it sideways so you can see it right now. So yeah, as a reminder, I'm using the Coast to Coast yarn soup sock sets for this, and there was 4 total. I believe this first one was split pea. This one was hearty stew, I think. And so I still have to wind up my 3rd sock set for this, but before I do that, I thought I would show you what to look forward to in next week's update. This is the next sock set that I will be adding to the Verglas wrap. This is Potato and Leek. I really love this, the potato colorway. I was very tempted but restrained in not getting a sweater quantity of this colorway. I just think it's so good. The speckles look fantastic in it, and I just really love like the soft brown golden colors in it. It's so good. And this Leek, it's a cute color. I don't know if I would get it for myself like as like a sweater quantities amount or anything, but I feel like paired with this and just like in this whole collection, it's a very cute colorway to match. And so yeah, I did try to plan out my colors for this in a way where it's kind of like alternates between light and dark. And so this green was kind of like lighter, this brown is definitely like a darker color, and then going back to a lighter color, and then the last one is like a dark red, which should be fun to work with. So yeah, I wasn't actually planning on finishing up this sock set this week. Oh, let me show you my stitch marker. I have 2, but this is the one from last week. So I worked even more than what I had for this section this week, and it kind of just happened. I just like kept knitting on it. I was like, sometimes what I do, and I'm sure, I hope, maybe other of you do this too, when I'm thinking about, oh, what project do I want to knit on next? Or do I want to spin? If I'm like, or do I want to cast on something? Or I'm trying to think of ideas for my yarn or project plan or something like that. When I'm thinking about that, and it's really funny because sometimes I'm thinking about switching projects because I'm like bored. I want to switch projects. But while I'm thinking, because it takes me so long to think what I want to do, I just keep knitting on what I'm currently knitting on, because why waste time thinking about it and not knitting? And that's kind of what happened with this. I was like knitting on it and I was like, I want to knit on something else. I was like, but what do I want to knit on? I have so many options. Do I want to cast on something? And it took me so long to decide that, and then by then I was like, I'm actually just going to finish up this skein. So, oh, one thing, I did kind of switch up what I was doing. I think I did talk about this last time. For this first sock set, for the main color, the green, I followed the row counts for this section, this first section, knit the mini, that was fine. And then the second section, I think I was short 2 repeats, which for this type of pattern doesn't really matter because it still looks like they're both equal size. But I thought maybe just to experiment for this one, I would just decrease the amount of increases for both sides so that maybe they would be equal, just in case I run out of yarn again. So this green one, I used up like all of the yarn. I just have like the tails left, but I used up the entire skein. However, for this second skein, I did not run out of yarn at all. I have some left over, and that's also fine because, and I didn't weigh it yet, I don't know how much left over I have, but I probably actually could have just followed the exact pattern, like number of repeats for each of the main sections for this, and probably would have been fine with the yarn. I think part of that is my gauge got slightly tighter. I don't know why. Maybe I'm more stressed while knitting this, but again, it doesn't really matter for this pattern, so I'm just happy I didn't run out of yarn. Even though you kind of towards the end have to gauge how you are on yarn, especially if you really want to use up all of your yarn, because it is a stitch repeat pattern, which is 2 rows. The repeat is 2 rows, and so you just have to make sure you can, knit it going and back. But when it's time to switch, okay, actually let me show it to you here. So when it was time to switch between your main skein to your next sock set, there are a couple more rows you need to knit after the stitch pattern repeat here. You can see this purl bump here, and so you do have to just account for that if you're trying to really use up as much of the yarn that you have, the colorway that you have. So yeah, that's just a quick note that I hope maybe is helpful if you are deciding on making this as well. But yeah, I really like how the colors are turning out, and it's still a joy to work on. Just sometimes it just gets a little bit a lot of the same, but honestly it's not really too bad. It is a long project. It is 4 full skeins plus 4 minis for the large size, which is what I am doing. So it is a lot of yarn, it is a lot of knitting, but I think because of the color changes, it's not too bad. So yeah, I'm feeling motivated again on it because I am going to start with the 3rd sock set, and so I feel like whenever you start with a new color, it always kind of adds a little bit more motivation to the project. Okay, next up is, this is the last knitting project I have for you all, but this is a new cast on, and it's finally happened. Although I say this for all my projects, but this goes towards one of my goals this year, which is to knit, I forget, 5 things or something from Sari Nordlund's book, and I haven't cast on anything from the book yet, and I was like, what am I doing? I don't know why I haven't cast on anything from the book, because I love so many of the patterns and I want them all. So, but I finally cast one on, and I always thought I would cast on my first thing from the book would be a sock, but it's not. This is the Esopo Cardigan by Sari Nordlund in her Softly Timeless Knits book. It is a top-down cardigan. This actually has 2 versions in the book. One is the long cardigan version that has a belt and kind of looks like a robe, and not in a bad way. I mean, I love it. I want to make this version as well. It has a belt and also has some pockets. This one is, I'm making the cropped version of it, and so this is what I have so far. If you haven't seen it, actually maybe if I'm a good editor of a video, I will put a picture of it. It's a really cute cardigan, and it has a folded collar, which I will show you here in a minute. And the thing I love about it is that the sleeves at the top has this cable-y pattern all the way down, and I love that. And so it's very the rest of the body though is all stockinette, and so it has that nice detail, but it doesn't feel overwhelmingly with a whole bunch of things on it. I guess it feels simple but with a little bit of something. So anyway, this is what I have so far. I have connected under the arms already. Actually, this progress was made this morning, was connecting under the arms, but I'm feeling just I worked on this a bunch last weekend. That's kind of where most of the progress is made on this, and it just makes me really happy. I am using the Durum Natura Gilead yarn for this, which I really love this yarn. I also love, this is I believe the worsted weight yarn by Durum Natura. They also have, what is the sport weight one called? it's not, the Gilead is the worsted weight, and then there's a sport weight one that I am just forgetting off the top of my head right now what it's called, but I love that one as well. I've knit with both of these yarn bases before and love it. I think it's like a kind of a woolen spun yarn, maybe semi-woolen, like something. The yarn is very it's very airy, I guess. It just has such a good, it's a good structured yarn. It's not scratchy. It's warm. It has some good colors. I love this color. I haven't knit with this color from it before. I do not know how to pronounce it, but I have it written down in the description below. It's like this gray-brown color, and I really, really like it. I'm very happy with this color choice. And I love how it's turning out so far. Let me show you the back, because I don't think that in the book or in any of the pictures I've seen of this cardigan you can actually see this detail, and so when it happened I was like, oh, that's really nice. I didn't notice it. It does have this this detail on the shoulders on the back, which is just kind of like this one knit line that's going from the armhole to the top of the neck. And I think I've seen this in other patterns, like not Sari Nordlund patterns, but it was very interesting how this turned out. Like how it happened is it's just the way that it wasn't anything crazy. Let's just put it that way. Like you just end up with this one. It all had to do with like how you increase and where you did that and where you picked up, and that's how you ended up with this kind of like single braid looking detail on the back. And so again, yeah, like in the pattern or in the book, I think even on the Ravelry page for this pattern, you don't really, I don't know if there's any pictures of the back that has that, but anyway, I was just like, when it happened I was like, oh, that's a really nice detail I didn't know was there. So yeah, so I am making the cropped version of this, and in the book the pictures of the cropped version is actually in like a black colored yarn, which I think looks really great, but because it is such a dark color you can't really see the details. So I am looking forward to seeing how the cropped version looks in, I guess, yeah, like this colored yarn, because it is a darker-ish colored yarn, but you can still see details with this. Like, so I really want to see how that cable pattern looks on the sleeves with this yarn. What I thought was very interesting was actually how this collar or neckband collar of this cardigan was, how it's knit, because again, I keep saying in the pictures, but like it is like this folded over collar. It's a very thick collar and it's folded, but I was like, how is it so thick up here so that you can fold it and for it to be this width, but down the front it is skinny or skinnier than up here? Like how does it wrap around? And if I unfold it for you, you can actually see here, right here is the back middle of the neck. There are decreases, oh my gosh, yarn tails. There are decreases that are done here while you are shaping kind of like that front neck. There's decreases in the ribbing, and so that it kind of tapers into a thinner band for the front. And what's really crazy is that when you fold this collar, if the fold, and it kind of naturally does this, but the fold ends up being where those decreases happen on the collar, and so it just lays really nicely like this around the neck and to the front. I thought that was so cool. And it makes that fit around the neck also look really nice. I wasn't sure how, when I was working it, I was like, ooh, it's looking like it's going to stick out a lot or something, but wow, the shaping is super nice on this. I have not talked about size of this. I am knitting size 2, and I'm using US 7 needles for this. Surprisingly, I feel like for the first time in maybe a long time or like ever, I had to size up my needles. I usually have to size down. If I'm not like, I actually usually don't have to change my needle size, but if I do, it's usually sizing down, making my needle smaller. But this time I actually needed to go up a needle size. I did not gauge swatch for this, but what I did was once I started, which was the back here, once I knit a little bit of it, I kind of just took a measurement to see how I was doing, and I was like, oh, my stitches are a little too small, so I went up a needle size. And I think so far it's going great. And I've been just knitting on this a ton, I guess, last weekend. And then the rest of the actual week was on some of the other stuff. But this has been really fun to work on. I am excited to be connected under the arm, and I think that depending on how far the rest, this is the second ball so far, and so the first ball and some of the second has got to me this far on this pattern. I have 4 balls in total, and yardage wise that should get me to the cropped version for size 2, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. I will probably, once, if the body's not all the way done, which I don't think it will be, by the time I run out of the second ball, I will probably just stop the body and then work on the sleeves, which is what I usually do with sweaters and cardigans. But I wanted to say that I was trying to pick between size 1 and 2 because the yarn amount that I bought could get me, I was like right at the end of size 2. So I was like, I could do size 1 or 2. And I ended up picking size 2 because I really want to see what like a more oversized look and feel is for this, because I was looking at the pictures again for this, and it kind of looks like the cropped version is a lot bigger and more oversized than like the full length version of this. And I would really like to make the full length version of this cardigan at some point in the future, and so I think that I want to see what size 2 looks and feels like, and so that when it's time to make the full length, I can choose size 2 or size 1 for it. So yeah, that's the start of this. I'm really liking it. I really like working with this yarn. I want to make more things using this yarn, and it's so great. I bought the yarn from La Mercerie. I actually bought it when I was at the store when Sari Nordlund was there in January this year, and so it has been waiting for me to cast this on, and I finally did. So yeah, exciting first pattern out of Sari Nordlund's book. Finally cast on, and lots of progress made on it. Okay, I have a couple of, should I do acquisitions or spinning first? Let's do spinning. We'll end with acquisitions. Acquisitions is just fiber this week, so that's fine. Let me just rearrange my notes really quickly. Okay, spinning. Oh, I have a fun spinning update. Okay, so remember my sweater spin where I'm using the John Arbin Textiles Yarnadelic top, which is 100% Falklands Corriedale in the colorway, the beautiful ones. I felt a big burst of energy towards it, and I was like, let's just finish this sweater spin. I want to at least just finish spinning the singles, and I did. I finished spinning all the singles for the sweater spin, which was it felt like such a big accomplishment. Very happy about it. And so I started plying all of this, and okay, so this is my second ever sweater spin. I still don't really know what I am doing, but one thing I did particularly different this time in kind of like how I spun up this gigantic amount of fiber. So my first sweater spin, I would spin like however much one braid was. I would spin and ply one braid at a time. And I felt like my yarn ended up being very inconsistent between all of my skeins. So this time I decided I am going to spin all of the singles before doing any plying so that I can mix and match the different bobbins like in the order that I've done them, so that hopefully it would even out throughout all of the skeins. And so we will see how that works out. I think it is looking a lot more consistent across the skeins right now, and so it's feeling pretty good. I did not finish plying, but I do want to hold up the yarn that I did ply. I haven't weighed these. They are not washed either, and so they're very curly, but I have I finished 3 full bobbins worth of plied yarn. I am doing a traditional 3-ply for this, which is also, this is my first, well, it's only my second sweater spin, but this is like my first traditional 3-ply in like this amount of yarn. I guess my first 3-plied sweater spin. There's going to be a lot of firsts for my spinning just because I'm new to it, so, or kind of new. I mean, it hasn't been a year yet, but yeah, I was spinning, I spun my singles and plied on my e-spinner, my electric e-wheel 6.0, and those bobbins are huge. So yeah, these are just the 3 that I could fit on the bobbin. So these are 3 full bobbins worth. I'm so happy about it. They feel heavy. Like, I'm actually curious to know how much like grams of yarn each bobbin holds, pretty much. But yeah, look how curly it is at the bottom. I know, I need to wash it. Once I wash it and stuff, it should fix that. But just look up here, don't look at the bottom. I love 3-ply now. I really love how this yarn looks and feels. It does have that roundness to it that I feel like people always say when they talk about 3-ply yarn. Like, I think I know what they're talking about now. It just, it looks so good. I'm very happy with how this came out. I was very worried about it just because it is such a big amount of yarn to be working with over a longer period of time and for consistency, but like it looks pretty good. Nothing looks super abnormal in between the skeins. Like, there are some sections where I'm like, that part's maybe like a little more underplied, or some looks a little more plied, but yeah, it's just, these are my yarn babies. I feel very proud of them. I want to finish plying this weekend as well. I'm over halfway done with the plying, and so this should hopefully be done this weekend as well with the plying. So I'm hoping to wash this, all of it, and maybe cast on next weekend for this sweater that I'm going to make with this. So yeah, I will show more details on it once it's like actually all done and plied and dried and measured out and pictures taken of it, but it's going really well and I love it. The 3-ply just looks and feels really good. The colors of this yarn, like the fiber, look really great. Consistently, it looks pretty okay across these 3 at least right now, which is not the case, was not the case with my first sweater spin, and so I think I've made some good progress there. And yeah, just really excited to knit with it next. So yeah, so those are my almost done sweater spin, so I want to give you all an update on that. And because I finished my singles for this, and I think I did finish, I think last week was my finished 3-ply fractal of my hand-dyed fiber, so I started another spinning project, and this one is on my ladybug wheel. I did talk about this fiber last week, but I started spinning my Big Little Yarn Co. Satsumai Mopai Rambouillet wool. And I am making my second spin with me video using, like, for this spin, this fiber, and so more details on how exactly I'm spinning this will be in that video, but I just wanted to show you all. I did split up my fiber. I did get 2 braids of this, and so I did split it up, and so I have them kind of all in little balls here like this. I have split them up into 8 little balls here that I'm going to spin from. This is the almost finished first one, so this is kind of how it's looking spun up right now, and I am planning on doing a chain ply for this. And part of the reason is that I couldn't figure out if I wanted to do, my default is usually like a 2-ply fractal, but with this one I couldn't really see like a color pattern that I really wanted to, or that I feel like a fractal would really kind of like do well with, and I didn't want to do something random like how I did in my first spin with me video. That was just like, I wasn't really caring about the color management of that for the spin. But this time I feel like, because there are, like, when you look through the fiber like this, there are sections of color, and so I figured I would do a chain ply so that I could still have like some of that color changing, and also because as much as possible, as much as possible, I would like the spin with me videos to be showcasing some kind of new technique that's different from my other spin with me videos. And so my first one was a 2-ply that was like no color management, and I was plying from a center pull ball. And so this one I want to do a chain ply because, yeah, new technique to share and to show you all. Also, I still don't really have a chain ply down. I feel like it gets it's really hard to start, and so I'm hoping that if I do a video on it, maybe it'll either help others just to see what it looks like, and also, I don't know, maybe it'll just be interesting to see me struggle a little bit with the chain ply. But yeah, this is the Big Little Yarn Co. Satsumai Mopai fiber. It feels so soft. I really like working with this wool. Yeah, it's really soft and fluffy. It actually kind of reminds me of it's like soft. It feels soft like merino, like a super fine merino is kind of how the softness feels. But the way that the fiber is kind of reminds me a little bit of targi, which maybe is not a, if you're better with descriptions of wool, you might be like, what the heck? But to me, that's kind of the feeling I get from this Rambouillet. It's not really slippery, like it kind of like stays together in a way that's really nice, and I feel like is pretty easy to spin in some ways, not in others. I feel like I actually had a harder time getting started with this, but every time I kind of switch up the fiber, in the beginning kind of have a hard time like getting into the motion of things and how to spin it, but after a while I kind of like just get used to it. It feels normal. But yeah, so that is my new spinning project that I started this week, and I love how the colors are turning out. And then speaking of wool and fiber, I do have 2 acquisitions this week. They are both from the Nest Fiber Club, and so I am part of the Nest Fiber Club, which is a monthly subscription thing where you get 4 ounces of fiber every month. And if you maybe noticed, maybe didn't, that I didn't talk about the February fiber last month. Or the month before that? No, last month. I think they get shipped out at the end of the month. And I didn't talk about the February one because I didn't get it. And so I inquired about it because I realized I didn't get the February one. And when she posted a picture of it on her Instagram, I was like, I love the color. I'm so excited to get it. And I didn't get it. And so I inquired. She was so, so nice. She changed like her, I think the software or whatever she was using, program for the shipping. And she had to like manually copy over people's addresses. And so my address got copied over wrong. So it was like a wrong address. But she sent in the March shipment, also put in my February fiber, and so I got 2 packages of fiber, and I just dropped one. Okay, so let me show you, I guess, in order. So this is the February one. This is called Hanami. It's the Polworth fiber, which I love Polworth. I cannot wait to spin with this. This color, this colorway is so pretty. It feels so spring-y. It's just like pink flowers, blue sky, green grass, like that kind of vibe with the colors, and I really like it. I'm very tempted to get another braid of this, but I will try to resist. But this is so pretty. I love it so much. And then this is the March colorway. I hope I'm not spoiling this for anyone, I just realized, but sorry if I did. This is March colorway. It's called Sweet Pea, and this is Falkland Islands Merino. So that's really exciting. There's no pink in this one, but it's still very kind of like pastel-y and very pretty. Really, really like it. I've just really liked every single color that I've gotten from Nest Fiber so far. And so I'm really liking being part of this subscription. I'm part of the mixed fibers subscription, so every month it's a different kind of fiber, which I really, really enjoy. So yeah, those are my 2 acquisitions this week. I have been doing really good with my spinning goal for this year, which is, the goal was kind of, so I want to spin 4 ounces of fiber every month. And for me, that was kind of like, because I'm part of this monthly subscription and I get in 4 ounces of fiber every month, if I spun 4 ounces every month, it would kind of feel like I'm keeping up with my monthly subscription. And I, of course, had my sweater spin, and so I am not knitting, I'm not spinning with, as soon as I get in my monthly fiber, I'm not spinning it right away. And I actually have a lot that I haven't spun with, but I am keeping up with at least 4 ounces every month, and I am getting 4 ounces every month. So, and then I did get my sweater spin fiber as well, but anyway, that was kind of the thought behind that goal, and so feeling really good about it. I don't plan on once I'm done with this sweater spin, I'll probably take a break from doing sweater spinning until maybe later this year, I don't know, but yeah, maybe after the sweater spin is done, I will have more time to kind of go through my more kind of like one braid of like hand-dyed fiber and stuff like that. So, and also I want to get back to dyeing fibers, so yeah. Anyway, that is all I have to talk about this week. I'm trying to think if there's something else. That's all I've been knitting and spinning, I think. But yeah, any life updates? I don't know. I think that's it. So I hope you're all having a great day on whichever day you're watching this. I hope you are doing something enjoyable while listening or watching this podcast. If you are knitting or spinning or crocheting or doing any other craft, let me know what you're working on down below, because I love to hear about it. And thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you all. I really do enjoy making these podcasts. It's just like such a fun part of the day for me, is just to like share with you all everything I'm working on. And also to it's a nice way to reflect on the things that I've worked on for the past week, and just makes me feel really happy. I have been feeling a little stressed lately. Work has been kind of busy, and I am studying more for the exam that I kind of talked about some episodes ago or whatever. So I'm hoping that this will be done soon so that I can get back to knitting and spinning at the frequency that I was before doing all of this studying. That would be really nice, but yeah, I'm just really glad that I do have knitting and spinning to go back to relax and kind of like feel happy again, because yeah, the studying for this exam has been quite stressful. So I will keep you all updated on it. It's not really that fun to talk about, but yeah, I'm just excited for it to be over so that I can get back to doing the things that I love to do, because I want to get back into, like I said, dyeing fiber, but also dyeing yarn. I have a lot of bare yarn that I want to dye, and I want to experiment more with dyeing with colors, variegated yarn, sweater quantities, and I also want to work on, I mentioned it in one previous podcast video, was I wanted to knit, I wanted to make a pattern, or just like knit a version for me, a cardigan that I saw in a movie, and I haven't done anything with that, but it is still something I want to do. I just don't have like the brain space to work on it right now. So I want to get back to that eventually. I think I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's already April. I feel like every video I make, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it's already whatever month. So years going by so fast. I have so many things I want to do. I'm so excited to see all of the flock vendors being announced for flock this year. I just cannot wait for that. So excited, and I am planning on buying a whole bunch of fiber there. I'm hoping there'll be, I mean, there's going to be fiber there, but maybe more than last year. That would be exciting. So anyway, I'm just rambling because I don't want to say bye, but I will stop rambling now so that you can get on with the rest of your day. But again, let me know in the comments down below what you're working on, if you're working on something while listening or watching this podcast. And I will see you all in next week's video. Bye!